Hi everybody, Jim Ostrowski with the Liberty Moving Podcast. Happy Columbus Day. Today I'm going to talk about if I get elected LP chair, national, not state, don't worry, Dwayne, what am I going to do in the first month? So I'm running on a direct action platform. Direct action means it's the opposite of politics. Politics is indirect action. In politics, the four different things you could do in politics: litigation, voting, supporting candidates, and lobbying. They all involve you trying to get somebody else to do something. Direct action is a bunch of things you can do today to move both yourself and the country towards liberty. And direct action works. Politics does not work. It's rigged. Explain why many times. That's not what I'm going to talk about today. Although there appears to be a conflict between direct action and political action in terms of the Libertarian Party, it's actually more apparent than real, because I contend, and I think I can show, that only through direct action tactics can we get beyond the 1% that we've been stuck at for 50 years. So it's a win-win. The resources that I would divert towards direct action will be made up because we're going to have more people in the party. We're going to have a winning vibe. There's going to be more people contributing money, and probably some serious money too. So we're going to expand the pie, still do elections. We'll do it in a smarter, more strategic way. I have some ideas on that because I've been doing politics for 50 years, believe it or not. So, but just in terms of direct action and not the political end, which I will certainly pay much attention to as well. Just talking about direct action today. So I have about 15 different direct action programs or ideas. Some of them are, I think, more strategic than others. They're all important. They all fit in to the overall canvas, but some of them are really more important than the others, and some of them are in better stages of development than the others. So I put together about 5. It's flexible. We could add a couple, we could delete a couple. So the number one thing we need to do is we need to vote with our children. Vote with your children. So I'm not going to get into that in great detail. I've written 2 books on the subject. Government schools are bad for your kids, and vote, free the children. I apologize. Sorry. I'm still learning how to, I just bought this selfie stick. It's nice, but I'm still learning how to do it. So I gave a speech at the Hudson Valley LP Libertarian Gala, and that was the subject of the speech. So I'm not going to, you really need to listen to that speech, because I go into it in great detail, that we need to form a national movement to encourage young parents particularly, but all parents, to pull their kids out of government school. I think we need to coalesce with Charlie Kirk's organization and Moms for Liberty and create a broad coalition on this. So that's point one. If we don't get people out of the government schools, we're not going to get past that 1%. So it's win-win. We have to do it. It's not really a debate. I'm sorry. I hate to be an authoritarian. We have to do it. It's just a no-brainer. There's no argument against it, because what we're doing now is not working. So that's point one. And then there's a little bit of a twist, because my second book on the subject, Free the Children, is technically not about direct action. It's technically about, I suppose, lobbying, as I point out there. But I think it all fits together in the big picture. I point out in that book that, the Republicans talk about school choice and socialism and all that stuff. They run 23 school systems with their control of 23 states. So we need to challenge them to do something about that and focus this Free the Children program particularly on those states, and have our candidates in those states propose the elimination of compulsory schooling as a first step, and then the ultimate elimination of the government school systems in those 23 states. The federal government has no control over it whatsoever. Doesn't have anything to do with the Department of Education, which still exists. So that's point one, will be kind of a hybrid direct action, political action. So, we can walk and chew gum at the same time. Two things can be true at the same time. So that's point one. Point two, vote with your feet. This is probably the most successful, not probably, this has been the most successful libertarian strategy since the movement started, the resurgence of the movement started in 1969. Vote with your feet. Free State Project, I've supported it for years, written about it for years, been up there many times supporting their various events, Porkfest and Liberty Forum. But we can expand that concept nationally, so I'm going to do that. I've already designed an app to rank every county in the United States, 3,000 counties. Problem is, I'm just a working class public interest lawyer in Buffalo and freelance writer. I don't have the budget to do that. It's not going to take that much money. I think the Libertarian Party can do this app very quickly, and we will have an app that any American who's moving, and Americans are constantly moving, it's kind of part of the character of the American people. We like to move. We're restless. We like to improve our situation. So all these people who are moving, it's like, 5, 10, 15% of the population are thinking of moving, or somebody they know is moving. We have this app. You can go there and find out the best counties, and that's a great form of voting with your feet, because by moving people from big government counties to small government counties, you're starving the beast, you're improving people's lives, and there's just no downside to this. Now also, there's people, whoa, a little close there, biker. There's people who, for one reason or another, and it's not easy to move. Believe me, I know personally. I'm trying. You can't always just pack up and leave. Sometimes you can't leave the state. So I have another idea. So within each state, I did a podcast on this. Within each state, there's one county that's the freest. Let's be honest. There's one county. So each state, each of the 50 states, each of the 50 libertarian parties, I have an algorithm for that. Of course I do. It's done. It's a 5-factor algorithm. It's very simple. And we can I figured out what county it was in New York. It's up in the Appalachians. No big surprise. We rank the freest county in each state. We go to that county and we have a big, making it into a big award ceremony. Hopefully the local officials come out and say, you know what? I don't know if you knew this. You're the freest county in the state. And we want to congratulate you. We want to encourage people, to move here. Can we get some real estate brokers involved? And so the vote with your feet idea, which is really the only form of voting that's ever worked in the last 500 years. Let's be honest. My ancestors voted with their feet to escape tyranny in Europe and came here and had a much freer life for their family and several generations until big government sort of caught up with them. And now, frankly, the government we have now is more tyrannical than the government they escaped from. So you have to continually vote with your feet. So voting with your feet, huge. I've got 2 algorithms done. 2 algorithms done, ready to roll out. Need a couple of bucks, not that many. Need some talent, need some marketing. The Libertarian Party is packed with talented people. We're not giving them anything productive to do. Damn, that drives me crazy. So that's 2. Point 3, vote with your mind. It's probably the most important. One of my fans beeping the horn at me, I'm sure. Probably the most important thing you can do in direct action is to free your mind. I won't go into all the metaphysical details of that, why that's important. But I have a specific program ready. It sounds abstract, right? No, it's not. One of the most important things that we need to do in America is we need to learn economics, and the Libertarian Party needs to teach economics. Well, we're not teachers. Well, you are now. You are now. If I get elected LP chair, you're going to start being teachers because you're going to start teaching people economics. Well, how do we do that, Jim? I already wrote the program. It's called Economics in 5 Lessons. It's half an hour long. You could do it at a meeting, and I always believe, just the way I run meetings. I've been to so many meetings where I'm sitting there listening to the boring people up front, waiting for, some audience participation. So I believe in almost any program. I give half the program to the panelists and half to the audience. So 30-minute sort of a lecture thing, or you could do some, we could fancy that up. Again, with the talent base of the LP, you could do some graphics or whatever they call it, PowerPoint, whatever it is. And half an hour of lecture, PowerPoint, and then a half an hour Q&A. There's citations, there's written material, there's follow-up. And really, a lot of people could teach this course. You just have to be able to, answer a few questions like why the minimum wage law causes unemployment, stuff like that. So perfect for an economics major, an economics professor, a business person, somebody who's been to, an MBA, a libertarian MBA, certainly has enough knowledge of economics and Austrian economics to do that. So that we will be teaching economics in the first month. A couple more points, and then I'm going to shut up. So, vote with your health. Vote with your health. The Maha movement. Kennedy's made some progress. I'm not going to criticize him. I like Kennedy. I saw him speak in Buffalo. But we need to have a whole. This is the least healthy, wealthy country. Least healthy, wealthy country. And it's not that complicated to figure out how to improve that situation. So one of the things we're going to do is we're going to have a program called Vote with Your Health. We're going to take the relevant research and boil it down into very basic things. It's not complicated. Very basic things that we can do, you can do every day. And why does this matter in politics? I did a podcast. I said, my idea of Walk for Liberty, which is part of Voting with Your Health, 7,500 steps a day, would cut American healthcare costs in half. It's like, what is it, 17% of the budget? It's something ridiculous. I've lost track of the numbers. And the government pays half. So, you could sort of try to figure out how to get rid of the medical monopolies in the state capitals and find out that when you get there that every state legislator's already been bought off by big pharma and big medicine and big insurance. Or you could get off your ass and get out there and walk 7,500 steps. That's what I'm doing right now. I'm doing this podcast because I started walking. I started to get bored. I picked up the camera. Now I got a podcast out of it. And by the way, if you want to ward off mental decline, my understanding is they want you to do an exercise that requires you to do 2-3 things at a time. This is perfect. I'm walking, I'm talking, I'm holding a selfie stick. It's perfect. 7,500 steps a day, again, with the marketing wherewithal and talent of the Libertarian Party and the Libertarian community, we could turn this into a thing. This could be a big cultural thing in the country. But we would bring people into our movement. People don't want to get 1% after 50 years, and they want to have some. They want to win. They want to have some positive result for what they do. So, I've got a whole program on that. I'm working on it. Diet, exercise, fitness, stuff you could put. It's an elevator pitch. Stuff you could put on the back of a business card. Stop eating wheat, stop eating sugar, walk 75. You put this stuff literally on a business card. It's not that complicated. So the final thing, and this is kind of an old thing in the libertarian movement, but we've neglected it. There is a form of direct action that it was sort of built into the structure of government, which is kind of strange. It's kind of unusual. By the founding fathers, because they didn't trust the government, and that is juries. We have trial juries and we have grand juries. I think every state has grand juries except one or two. But it's a nationally applicable program. Vote with your verdicts. Vote with your verdicts. I've written an article about jury nullification at the trial level, which is fine. We'll talk about that. But what's more important is the grand jury, because by the time you get indicted, and Trump and a lot of Trump people found this out. By the time you get indicted, it's like now you're stuck in trial, and if you're Trump, it's one thing, but if you're the typical person, many people have been bankrupted by this process. But if we can cut that off in the grand jury, we can save a lot of people from the agony of politically motivated prosecutions, and we can start to fight the prosecution of people for imaginary crimes like possession of guns and possession of drugs. And here's the beauty of going after the grand jury strategy. It's not nullification. Okay, let me explain what I mean by that. You could get into a little bit of trouble if you go into a grand jury and somebody asks you, hey, you're not one of those crazy libertarians who believes in jury nullification, and you say, no, I'm not, and then you overturn, you hang the jury. You could get into a little legal jeopardy. The beautiful thing about grand juries is, and I know it's true in New York, and I know it's true federally, I think it's true in the other 8 states. You do not have to indict anybody. You do not have to indict. You can use your discretion. So what we have, and I'll just throw this out there real quick, and then I'm going to talk about one more quick thing. I hope I don't forget. We have a program. We did this. We did this in Niagara County. We have an actual program, which it was a kind of sort of a longer program, but we could shorten it up so it could be fit on the top of a regular meeting of any sort of like-minded organization. We could get this done in 1 hour, but we have a program to educate people on how to be what to do on the grand jury, and explain your rights. So those are the 5 programs. They're all direct action. Several of them have a loop back into political action, like the government schools, obviously, the economic program. If we can teach people economics, we'll get more people voting for the Libertarian Party. So it's a win-win. We'll expand the pie. Yes, we're going to divert resources, but the overall resource base is going to double or triple. So that's what we're going to do in the first 30 days. Lots more ideas. Obviously, looking to get people involved in executing these ideas and tweaking these ideas and adding the ideas of. I got an idea the other day from somebody who said, well, learn how to be food self-sufficient. I said, that's perfect. That's perfect. Food self-sufficiency, hard to say. Living off the grid. I think we could get into that too. So the last point I want to make is that I already put this out there, that the very first thing I would do on day one is schedule an international libertarian conference on strategy. I don't think there's ever been one. Somebody tried to challenge me on that, but they never gave me the proof that I was incorrect. I don't think there's ever been an international conference on libertarian strategy. If there has, it hasn't worked, so we're going to do it again. But I think it's the first time. We're going to have it in Nashville, Tennessee. Why? Well, Tennessee rates out as the 4th freest state economically, according to Jason Sorens' study. Nashville has an international airport. And I'd like to have it at the Grand Ole Opry. Apparently you can have conferences there. And why? Because, you know what? The most loyal libertarian voters are rural voters. Has the Libertarian Party ever recognized that fact and tried to build up a base there and thank those people for supporting us? I've seen no evidence of it. So again, we're going to start. Every grammar school basketball coach has a strategy. What's the strategy? It's your plan for victory. We haven't had a plan for victory, folks. Now we have one. So support me in May of 2026 at Grand Rapids for chair of the Libertarian Party. Thank you.